Hello, everyone. Happy Monday.
Hello, everyone. Good to see you again, hopefully.
We hope that you had a great weekend after our first lovely call on Friday. And we're here to do day two. We've called it Conversations of a Phoenix. And I don't know, I felt like that was such a good name. Because equally as much as everybody else that we're bringing into this are phoenixes, so are we. And so what we're doing is we're sharing with you this incredible retreat that we're bringing in September in Mykonos. 7 days, 7 nights of just the most incredible deep work into activation. So you're going to get the deepest of deepest of deepest of deepest of dives into yourself, and then you're going to literally give birth to everything that comes from that in real time with us, with the other women in the group. Magic.
Yeah, and as you can see in my background, this is the villa that we're going to on Mykonos. And yeah, it's what you said. We're going to dive deep and then to rebirth again, to birth your biggest vision that you have, a project, a business, um, a book, whatever might be there inside of you to be birthed in a meaningful way for the highest good of us all. So yeah, and we decided we would like to show ourselves so that you get to know us before you join us and join the beautiful journey that we have prepared for you for this week. So, yeah, we are going to dive deep and have decided to pull a card each time we meet and then see what comes up for the two of us, what stories are behind, what we've already dealt with or what we're still dealing with. And yeah, let's see what will come up today.
We're going to use the Moonology cards. I've had to turn my background off so you can see the cards. But I'll turn it on afterwards so you can see more gorgeous Mykonos. So these are the cards, and I love on the inside of it says, "Let the moon be your guide." Okay. So I shall shuffle and you say stop.
Mhm.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
so
So let's do two cards because that's important. That just fell out. You say stop whenever.
stop. Stop.
Okay. Okay. Should we do the fallen one or your one first?
The fallen one.
So before we got on the call, I had just shown the cards to Sabine, and I was saying I find that these ones are very direct. Well,
No. Let's see.
surrender to the divine.
Oh my God.
Mm. And I think for me, this is funny because over the weekend I pulled two cards and I pulled them last week as well. So the same cards. And it's this idea of, surrendering to a higher force, surrendering to a higher power, surrendering to God, surrendering to universe. Whatever it is you believe in, whatever it is that you put your trust or your faith in, that idea of surrender. And some people think surrender is giving up, but spiritually, surrendering is allowing. It's giving in rather than giving up. It's not holding your ego and feeling that you know best. It's saying, I guarantee something knows better than me. And so I'm going to let go to it. And from my perspective, if I'm to share something on this card for my life right now, It has been over the last few months of actually surrendering to the fact that the direction that I was choosing to go in felt like I should be doing it rather than it was what I was supposed to be doing. And I've really thought a lot about this. And towards the end of last year, I'd really sat and thought with, I became a coach because I thought I should become a coach. I thought that that was the way to bring clients in and to make money. But I had never been a person who was driven by money up until 7 years ago, up until I found the coaching world. And the coaching world says you can make $10,000 in a minute and $100,000 in a month, and you can do all of these things. And it became almost like a dogma. And I felt that it was something I was supposed to follow, but it didn't feel like I was supposed to follow it. It was like it was just something that should be done because so many people were saying it. And I've never followed anyone before. I've never followed the crowd or the herd or done anything that I was supposed to do before. So this was a really strange feeling. And I ended up exhausted. And nothing ever happened the way that I expected it to. The clients that I would have really liked to have helped and supported, they never really showed up. I had some of the most amazing people come for the deepest work, and then there would be nothing. And so for years, this was what happened. And towards the end of last year and a little bit the year before, I realized writing was what I was supposed to be doing. It was the purpose. Writing and then allowing things to be created, telling the truth, sharing the idea, and then allowing other people to do that too. So holding space for people to share their truths, to write their truths, to live their truths. And the more I did that, the more it felt like that was the right path. But my ego came along and I pushed against it. And I stopped myself and I thought, no, I'll just keep coaching. Oh, no, that couldn't be real. That couldn't be enough. Just writing and telling the truth couldn't be enough. How could that be enough? And the more I pushed against it and the more I did that, the less I was surrendering to the divine, which is obviously way more intelligent than I am, even though it lives inside me. It's that higher self, that higher version. And so I started the magazine and I even pushed against that. And I was telling Sabine the other day, I have this engine, this incredible engine that I've left idle outside the door of my house. The magazine that I've been working on for almost 12 months, I've just left it idling out there. It's just something I'm doing. Meanwhile, it is the platform for self expression. It is the platform for other people to tell the truth. It's the platform for me to tell the truth. It's this entire space that I've brought together. And if only I would surrender to the fact of the truth of the matter, incredible things would have happened. And so I did. And incredible things are happening. And it's such a beautiful process. So it's literally been push against, push back, figure it out, push against anyway, figure it out, push against anyway, and then finally surrender. We go through these moments and these times. Everybody does it. We go through them in our own time. When you get the opportunity for somebody else to shine a light on those moments for you, it's massive. I guess I'm just blessed enough to be able to shine a light on them for myself, but not everybody can do that. So, yeah, I'm in surrender. I surrender. I surrender.
Thank you so much, Kira, for telling your impressive story. And I think so many of us can feel with you and are on the same path and like trial and error and when we choose the path of following the divine, then there is a this inside of us. It's this constant sort of well, shifting from one side to the other, from now I'm totally trusting, I know I'm on my path, I'm following what my soul has chosen to do and to be in this life. But then the mind comes in, and the patterns that we've learned in our society, that you just follow what you know, not what you feel. And you're just like, you have to think about it all the time and not feel into it, like not go into your heart, because this is sort of a little naive, no, just following your feelings. And yeah, for me too, it's still this, and I this is like another always reminding me. And I do pull cards too, and it comes again. Yeah, I heard it this morning in one of the things I listened to. Surrender. Yeah, because the divine knows so much better. And then we can even think with our mind and with our ego what might be out there for us. And yeah, I'm looking back on my story. It was always ups and downs, and into, yes, now I totally surrender. And then oh my God, but I have to plan it. I have to sort it out. I have to organize. I have to manage. I have to have a strategy. It has to be structured. And and when I then get back into the flow and like come back into my heart and into my body and into my womb, and I'll do my exercises, and I get back into that flow and open up again to what more there is. These are the beautiful moments that give me shivers, because there is so much more out there, and there is a plan, and our souls know exactly where they want to go and what our mission is. It's just that our how we grew up, all the societal patterns and our school systems, they were not meant to develop our soul's purpose. We were told to function, to perform, to compete, to compare ourselves with others, whilst we are not comparable. We're all individual beings. No one out there is the same. Every one of us has their individual experiences and their ancestral inheritance. And so none of us is the same. And I'm so convinced that every one of us has a special place. And we're just here to find this special place, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And it can't be compared to another. There is no better, no worse place. It's our individual place, and as soon as we find that, it gets so much easier. And yeah, that was looking back on my journey, because I've just gone through many challenges over the last years. But looking back now, even if it was so hard, some parts were so hard, and I was really suffering and struggling, and but still I'm so grateful for everything that happened, because
Mm.
this is my path, and it brought me here to who I am now.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
this is also my reminder again. Stop thinking it all out. Stop planning the strategy how I will reach the point that I think is the best for me. But rather come back to myself, listen inside, and let myself be guided to where I really should be, following my soul's plan. And this is this is the easy place, the happy
That's it
place.
though. Yeah, it's the easy place, you know? We've been taught for so long that hard is good. Hard work is how you'll get successful. And there's a part of me, and I don't know if you feel this, that there's a nuance, because we've learned it for so long. Hard work makes you successful. There's a part of us, the human part of us, that goes, well, that's the truth. And then the part of us that knows better, that knows more, that feels more, that wants more is like, no, that's not the truth. And so there's a little tug of war that goes on inside us, the piece that has been conditioned and programmed, and the piece that knows better. And it's a bit like, the story of the wolf. There's a bad wolf and a good wolf. I'm going to butcher this. Which wolf do you feed? And the one that you feed is the one that succeeds, that gets bigger and grows. Or the phrase, whatever you nourish flourishes. Whatever you water grows. So it's, which idea inside are you intending on letting win the war? The old conditioning, and some people might not even know that that is old conditioning, or this new truth, which was always the truth. It's not new. That ease is fine. And there's another piece, because like you said, sometimes we go into the planning. I need to plan. I need to plan. I need to organize. I need to structure. Maybe there is time and place for planning and structure, but it's not the be all and end all. The feeling, the the connection, the settling, the surrendering comes first. And then everything else is born from that. And the story I always like to tell is Indiana Jones in The Last Crusade. And he's running along and he gets to a big giant cavern, right? And he has to get across to the other side of it. How's he going to do it? How's he going to do it? How is the ender of everything. When we ask how, we sit stuck. How am I going to do this? How You're not, because you've asked the wrong question. Indiana Jones took a step. He had to. He had no other choice. He had to get to the other side. He needed to get to wherever he was going. So he took a step, and the path came up to meet him. And that's terrifying because it's like jumping off a cliff. What happens if the path doesn't come up? Do it anyway.
Yeah, but that there's just, it reminds me of this where the student stands at the cliff and asks the master, and the master says, jump, and he says, but what if I fall? And the master says, but what if you fly?
Yeah.
And this is the thing, we always seem to expect to fall whilst we could fly.
Hmm. Yeah. We're focusing on the wrong things. Wrong being relative. we're we're focusing on the thing that we've been taught to focus on. We need to focus on falling because it's scary, because it's bad, because it's going to hurt, because it's hard, because it's sad. What if I fail? But what will happen if you fail? Nothing.
But this is the great thing that we have now, the great opportunity we have is to unlearn.
Mm,
We don't have to follow everything that we have learned.
yeah.
And this is the good thing, the good part that we have our minds, because our minds can decide in every moment, do I want to follow what I learned, what I was taught, or do I want to follow my heart, what feels right for me? And this doesn't mean that our mind is not important and that from now on we should just like only be in our bodies and in our hearts and our wombs. No, not at all. But it has to be a balance.
Hmm. And it has to be specific to each person. So we've also been really programmed to believe that there is just one blueprint. Somebody comes along and they say, I have the blueprint for your success. No, you have the blueprint for your success. I have the blueprint for mine. I just don't know how to find it. I just don't know where it lives inside me, but it definitely lives inside me. And maybe I need somebody to shine a light and go, have you looked in there? That's a cave that I've never explored inside myself. That's where the answer is. It's possibility, it's curiosity, it's doing things a different way. And the women that come to this retreat, they will be given every ounce of space they need to do things their own way. I guarantee not one of the 12 will do anything the same. Nothing. And that's going to be so exciting to watch. And for us to be able to channel what comes through us for them.
Yeah, exactly. And I see ourselves like we're the sacred space holders. We're
Hmm.
offering this space for the women to, because like in our daily lives, it's not so easy to have this space and to take this space for ourselves.
Hmm.
It's like we're women, we're like being there for everyone.
Hmm.
So taking the space for ourselves is not an easy task. And but when we like decide to go away for a week, then this could be the just a full week just for yourself. And you could discover like who you have the person you haven't met for maybe
Yeah.
for a long time or not even in this lifetime, and you might be so surprised who you really are underneath the roles and the masks that we carry.
Mm. What if Pandora's box is actually a good thing? And that's what we're about to open for each one of these women is their own Pandora's box. And inside it is every single secret to yourself that you've never been able to access. And what if, and sometimes this comes up with people that I speak to and work with, the idea of shadow work, obviously the shadow part of yourself, the part of yourself that you squash down because you think it's bad, right? Maybe you have a terrible temper. Maybe you get really cross with your kids for no reason. Maybe you have terrible road rage. Maybe you think you're a mean person. Maybe there's like hundreds and thousands of maybes. But what if those parts of you are the actual keys, the holders to the power that you haven't allowed yourself to feel? Because when you take the thing that has been holding you back, the thing that you think is your shadow, the thing that you think has to be squashed down, and you allow it to come to the surface, it doesn't have any power anymore. But what it did have can be turned into something so incredible. And that's really what the Pandora's box is. That whole idea of the Pandora's box is that it holds terrible secrets, terrible things that could ruin everybody. But what if they didn't? What if you surrendered so much to the fullness of yourself, because that is divine, because the divine is full, it's complete, it's whole, that everything you ever wanted was on the other side of that? That's exciting.
That is so amazing. Can you imagine? Like the treasures that are hidden underneath the parts that we don't dare to look at.
Hmm.
And this like in our work, because Kira and myself, we're doing this constantly. Like
Yeah.
we're sort of facing it all the time and saying, oh, okay, another
Yeah.
challenge. Thank you. Another shadow that I discover. But underneath, when you dare to look at it and to work it through, and there's always like this lightness, this a
Hmm.
treasure.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I feel like I should share this particular story. I'm just going to try and make this really quick because I think this is a good way to explain how it can happen. So we often talk about the work and the deepest layers of it. So you start on the surface and you peel back a layer and there's more, and you peel back a layer and there's more, and you peel back a layer and there's more. And you could absolutely be devastated by the amount of layers there are. You could be overwhelmed. You could think, oh my God, I don't want to look at that. That's too deep for me. So I'm just going to stay here on the surface. But there's a lot of fun to be had in the deeper layers. And we were talking about this the other day, that humor is so important because sometimes things are so deep and they're so difficult and so tough that you need to break them up. And it's not that you're trying to release or relieve the pressure. It's that sometimes humor can find a way into things that other things can't. And I used to be a nightmare when cleaning, right? If I was cleaning the house and my son got in my way or didn't do what I wanted him to do, I was not the nicest person. And my mother was like that with me. So I was recognizing it as I was doing it. I was recognizing that this was a pattern that was really deep in me and it didn't come from me. It wasn't mine. I didn't want to be that way. But there was this ingrained layer that I didn't know how to get rid of. And my mother and I didn't have a great relationship. So one day it was all kicking off in the hall in my house, and I stopped. And it was one of those moments that's just so profound because you're breaking a cycle right in that moment. And I stopped and I went, okay, my son's name is Josh. Josh, here's what's going to happen next. The next time, first of all, I'm very sorry because what I've just done was not nice. That was mean. I didn't mean any of it. You are a wonderful person. We're just not going to do this for a minute. But the next time I do or say anything like this, I want you to say, hi, grandma, because that's what he called my mom. And his little face, because I could see he was nervous. He was like, oh my God, but will I get given out to if I say this? I said, no, you won't. I need you to say those words because it will take the wind out of my sails. I need to hear it because this isn't me. This is coming from something else. And so it did. It happened, I don't know, maybe a week later. And he said, hi, grandma. And I just went, all I could do was laugh. I wasn't angry. I wasn't hurt. I wasn't offended. I just knew in that moment that it was really important to recognize it was time to finish. And for the women that come to us, to be able to acknowledge the fact that sometimes we're not lovely, wonderful, beautiful saints of people who are going through life with giant smiles on our faces and everything is perfect. Sometimes there's rage and there's anger and there's grief and there's sadness and there's all kinds of things that make us do things isn't the right phrase, but we do things because of them. And until we let them up and out, and until we recognize them and acknowledge them and bring them into the light and attach them to all of the goodness, we're never fully ourselves. We're parts of ourselves. We're showing up in little ways, not in the full way.
Thank
Mm.
you so much, Kira. That was such a powerful story. And
Mm.
it shows so deeply how we can break a cycle, no? When you're
Yeah.
self-aware and when you have that, when you can laugh at
Hmm.
yourself.
Yep.
That is so important. And when you realize, because most of us don't realize, we just do what we do and we perform how we perform
Mhm.
until until either someone tells us or we wake up to it. And the thing that I've been in some incredible, um how would you say, um, I did some other sorts of, not only like the mind focused shadow work, but I did this breath work and dance
Amazing.
and inner journeys, and that was, oh, breath work was just such a powerful method where you don't
Mhm.
even have to think of the problem and like tell your story and everything, but when you go through the journey it comes up, everything that is prepared to be released at this moment comes up, and you just have to breathe your way through it. And I had the most powerful experience. Like I was howling, shouting, crying. And I thought, oh my God, who's this? Like at the back of my mind, I thought, who's this person? That's not me. But I felt such a huge relief. And this is like letting these emotions move through your body in dance or in in howling, shouting, and in breathing through your whole system is so powerful, so powerful.
So powerful. I love that. I love that you were howling and shouting. It's amazing.
Yes, we're gonna do that. Well, one who wants to.
Oh, women, experience it. If you haven't experienced it before, no, we'll just let them experience when they come because it's incredible. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, but I just want to add, of
Mhm.
course, no one is forced to do anything they don't want to.
Absolutely.
So everyone has the right to say no at every moment.
Mhm.
So everyone is only like doing what you're prepared for, and there is no judgment. You're not further or behind or whatever. It's your path, and you decide on how you want to go it and what tools you need and what tools you don't need and how deep you want to go at that moment or not. Because it's always the right time
Yeah.
for everything you're prepared to do.
And how powerful, because if you think about it, and it's not just a woman thing, but we're speaking just directly to women. Often there are so many people telling you how to do things and what to do and when, pulling you in every direction, that when somebody says to you, you can make up your own mind, sometimes that can be so scary because you go, I don't know what that looks like. How do you mean I can make up my own mind? But if I don't do something that she's doing, does that not mean that she's better than me and I'm not as good as her? No, it doesn't mean that. But if she's farther ahead than me, doesn't that mean she's more successful? No, it doesn't mean that. Giving people their autonomy and their sovereignty completely. You can say no. You can ask for something different. You can request something entirely new. I can. Oh, yeah, absolutely. But who do I ask? Anyone, everyone, me, you, whoever. There's going to be so much fun over this 7 days. Like, oh, I just get so excited thinking about it. Shall we do the second card?
Yes.
Oh my God, that's brilliant. Your
Honestly.
card is it's time to release negativity.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I can relate to that.
Hmm.
Um, because it's quite easy with everything happening around us. It's quite easy to be taken out of the place that we are working to be in. So whatever happens outside, and there was like I told you, Kira, there was a terrible thing happening in my city a week ago. There was a school shooting. So, and I thought I had, I'm in a good state. I have my tools. I try to keep my energy at a good level and try to be calm and kind and loving and working on my things. But with this happening, it was just like once again it threw me off my path. I was just taken out. And and when you see all that and all these poor children that died in that incident, you're tempted to get negative. You're tempted to be drawn into that cycle again that, oh my God, so all these things happening in the world. Where are we going to? How is this ever going to change? And I was like, how can a person get so far in our society? How how terrible is our society? How unloving, how unkind, how no compassion, no caring that a person can get so far to go into school and shoot just around. And this was, yeah. this was like being so careful not to be drawn into the negativity and to take yourself out again and still believe in the good and no, this is the right path. I want to live in love and in kindness and in compassion and in empathy for everyone, not just for the poor kids that died, but also for the person who did that, because it's hurt people. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
I hear you. And there is again, everything is about nuances. Everything in life is about nuances. So there's this idea that if you focus on the negative, you will become negative. And if you focus on the positive, you will become positive. But in my eyes, in my truth, in my world, you can see something and not focus on it. You can see something and how terrible it is and how heartbreaking it is. You can have compassion for it and understand it or try to understand it. You can even feel it. You can feel what the whole thing is like whilst staying in a place of solidity. And nobody teaches this. Everybody teaches you are what you believe, you are what you see, you are what you feel. But this nuance shows something so different. It shows that I can hold myself in this place while everything else is going on around me. I'm not immune to it. I'm not blind to it. I'm not disconnected from it, but I'm not attached to it. And attachments, the idea of attachments, the training around attachments are so important. And attachments and entanglements come so quickly. We're entangled with so many people we don't even realize. We're attached to so many people we don't even realize. And sometimes those attachments and those entanglements can be really bad for us, bad being relative, because what we're attached to can hold us back. What we're entangled with can hold us back. We make decisions and choices based on those attachments rather than based on just ourselves. And I see it in the world, say, of influencers. You look on social media and they get so angry. People get so angry with them when they don't speak about everything that's happening in the world. Why haven't you spoken about this? Why haven't you spoken about that? You have a platform. Why do you not speak about it? And it often feels like people are trying to dictate how the other person should live. Because you have more than me, you should do more than me. Because you're bigger than me, you should say more than I can. And again, it's back to entanglements and attachments and entanglements and attachments. And it feels very constricting. So when stuff happens in the world, when negative things happen in the world or happen in our own lives, it's to learn how to hold our own space while the terrible thing is happening. It doesn't mean we don't care about it. It means that this wholeness, this completeness has to stand strong in and of itself so that we can be, oh, I don't know, the light or the strength no matter what, because things are always going to happen. Always. That's just the nature of life and experiences. So, how do we stay strong? How do we stand solid and not let them affect us negatively?
Yeah, I'm so grateful you say that because big thing was really it's the energies. I call it, you call it entanglement. I call it it's the
Mhm.
energy that is built up of all the grief, all the hatred that comes up that you can't describe it with your mind. It's again a feeling that you get, and that sometimes, especially when you're highly sensitive, then it can just roll over you, and you don't even know, oh my God, why am I feeling like that now?
Yeah.
And it's not, nobody has told us that energies that are not ours can affect us
Yeah.
and can throw us off our path,
Hmm.
even if we haven't experienced anything or we haven't done anything, but the energies from other people come into our field. So it's always so important to have our field and to remember to clear our field and to keep a safe bubble around ourselves and to decide this is the energies that I want and this is the energies that I don't want in my field.
I remember saying to my sister once a few years back, we were talking about codependency. And I was saying to her, if somebody is drowning in a bog hole, in a or in quicksand, if you jump into the quicksand with them, you're going to drown too. So you're useless to them. Absolutely useless. And so again, it goes back to this nuance of, well, if you love somebody, you'll be there with them, and you'll be there in it with them, and you'll jump in with them, and you'll hold them, and you'll what ends up happening is you trauma bond and shadow bond, and you connect with them, and you share stories, and then you're in the same place. To hold a big energy, to hold something that's bad and good, sad and happy, joy and misery, all of the things that go on, terror and what's the opposite to terror?
Love.
Euphoria,
Mm.
love. To hold it all, you can't jump in. And that doesn't mean you're bypassing, it doesn't mean you're ignoring. It means that you're saying, I'm here in help, in support, in care, in consideration, in compassion. I see you. I feel you. I get you. I hear you. I'm here. Take my hand.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly the difference between compassion and suffering with someone. You can
Yeah.
decide if you feel for them or if you
Hmm.
suffer with them.
Yeah. It's what empathy has been turned into. Empathy is now this thing where, in order to say you're empathetic, you jump into things with people, but that's never what it was about. It was about, I can feel you. I hurt for you, but I'm not hurting in the same space as you, because that's not going to do you any good.
Exactly.
I feel what you're feeling, so
But
I
I
can help you.
exactly, but I'm still here as your anchor and
Yeah.
I'm holding you and I'm holding the space for you so that you can move through
Yeah.
whatever you experience.
Yeah. Yeah. Now imagine the 12 women that are going to sit with us through all of these moments, because just in case anybody doesn't understand, we, like we said on our last video, we go through all of these moments. We don't just sit here and have these conversations because, we're living up here thinking that we know all the things. We don't know all the things. We know lots of things. There's a combined awesomeness between us, but there's a combined awesomeness between everyone who allows themselves to go this deep, who sits with everything that's going on and chooses to take out the learning and the programming and the conditioning and go, is that mine? No, it's not. I don't know where that came from. That came from my mom. That came from my dad. Don't want to do it anymore. This one was from an ancestor. This one was from someone down the road who just said one thing one time to me, and it's not mine anymore. This is because my kids. This is because of this. And at the end of it all, you're sitting in a space where all of these women are going to be doing the same things. They're going to be taking all of these things out and seeing who they are. This is going to be exceptional. And we get to hold it.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know, the beautiful thing will be that people are not only, the women will not only experience to receive, to be held, but they will also experience to
Hmm.
hold somebody without jumping into the suffering with them. And I think this is, yeah, this is such a beautiful experience to hold someone when they go through something and
Hmm.
then trust that you are being held in the same way.
Yeah, it's going to be magic. I remember the first person, it was years ago, that said to me, you shouldn't touch anyone when they're crying. And I went, what? I'm a hugger. Are you serious? I hug everyone. And they said, and this woman, she was looking at me really seriously. And she said, yeah, you don't want to interrupt them. I said, what do you mean I don't want to interrupt them? She said, if you touch them in any way, you will interrupt the flow of their emotion. And I thought, that's bloody brilliant. It makes so much sense. Because if you consider, I don't know how to describe this. Have you ever seen the big balls that you see in a science fair? And when you touch them, it changes where the electricity goes. So it's like a huge giant ball, and you touch it, and then you move your hand, and the electricity follows where your finger is. And so in my mind, that's what I saw when she said this to me. I thought, oh, if I touch Sabine on her shoulder, then her energy will be drawn to her shoulder rather than the feelings that she's feeling in the moment. And we're so quick to want to squash everyone's feelings down. I don't want you to cry because then I'll feel bad. And I think I need to fix you, but I don't know how to fix you. So it's better if you stop crying so that I don't have to do anything. Okay, that's good. That's better. But when you sit in space with somebody and you let them cry or freak out or have a massive panic or do whatever, and you're just there and they get to feel all their feelings until they're finished, it actually takes way less time than you imagine.
Yeah, exactly. That's it's not really holding the person like you said, hugging them because we want to like comfort them and it's as you said, I want to, oh, I don't want you to feel so bad. But
Yeah,
it doesn't help them. It,
no,
it's not a help because they have to go through to the end. And if we stop them, we don't do them any good. So we're
yeah.
just like we're holding, but holding the space for them.
Mhm.
They get the space that they're safe and they they feel safe. No one is judging me. And this is a space where no one will attack me. This is
Yeah.
the moment where I can be in that emotion. Oh,
I'm excited for us and I'm excited for them.
beautiful women out there.
Mm.
We're both really excited. And if you feel called, when you feel called, please reach out. We're so much looking forward to meeting you, to yeah, meeting your deep true self, your core, all your shadows, and the beautiful vision that you have and the new birth that you will give to.
We love you all. And we're going to give you so much love when we see you in September. So, like Sabine said, do reach out. Have an amazing day.
Bye bye.
Bye, everyone.